Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to discuss about dictionary comprehension in Python. So what exactly is a dictionary comprehension? So dictionary comprehension is basically building a Python dictionary using for loop in a single statement. So if you remember dictionary video that we discussed a couple of weeks back, then a dictionary is basically a key value pair wherein you have a key as well as a value, and the key actually redirects you to the value. So if you want to fetch the value from a dictionary, then you have to access the value using the key. And if you use a simple for loop, you can create a dictionary, and we will see it in a minute that how you can create a dictionary using a simple for loop. And then we will also jump into the dictionary comprehension and see how you can do the same example using dictionary comprehension in a simple and easy to understand manner, and that too in a single statement. So let's jump straight into the video and see how you can do it. So in this example, we are going to create two lists. So the first list will be basically the word counts. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the second list will basically the numerical representation of these word counts. So the numerical 1, numerical 2, and so on till numerical 5. So let's create those list variables here. So we have created the two lists. The list 1 has the values 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the list 2 also has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but the numerical values. So let's see how you can use these two lists in order to build a dictionary using the simple for loop. So I will start with for item in list 1, say, and before proceeding further, we have to initially create a dictionary item. So maybe a dictionary item, and initialize it with an empty dictionary. So if I put the curly braces and no value inside it, that means I'm trying to kind of create an empty dictionary. So the dict underscore item is our empty dictionary, which we will use in our for loop. So before proceeding with the for loop, I have to create a empty dictionary so that we could store the key value pairs into this dictionary. So this is how you create an empty dictionary. So the dictionary variable name followed by the equal to sign followed by an empty curly braces. So now I will start my for loop here. So for item in say list 1, so we are going to iterate through the list 1, which contains the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, not the numerical values but the character values. Okay, so for item in list 1, we are going to append some value to our dictionary item variable. So dictionary item is equal to, so here we want to assign the numbers, okay, these numbers, but how are we going to access the list 2 variable one by one? For that we need the index, but in this loop we do not have the index yet. So either we create a variable to track the index, for example the counter. So initially the counter is set as 0, and with each for loop I will update the counter value as counter is equal to counter plus 1. Okay, and so what value we are going to assign to this dictionary? So with each for loop, the item is basically these, and the value that we are going to assign should be these. So for that I need to access the list 2, and inside the list 2 I will pass in the counter value. So counter is basically tracking the index of a list 2, and hence if I pass the counter value here, it will fetch me the value from the list. So let's see what happens in the first for loop iteration. So for the first iteration, as you can see, it's iterating through the list 1, so the value will be 1 from here, which is passed to the item variable here, and hence this dictionary underscore item will have a key of 1 one, and it will be assigned a value from the list 2 variable, this one, and the counter is basically 0, hence the list 2 and 0, which means the 0th item in the list 2, which is basically 1. So 0 is the starting index if you remember, and hence 1 gets saved to this dictionary. Okay, and then in the next step we are also auto incrementing the value of the counter, so that for the next iteration the value of counter becomes 1 and so on. And finally I should also print something so that we can see the output in the console. So we want to print the dictionary underscore item variable so that we could see what gets added to our empty dictionary. And now if I execute this program, we can see that my dictionary has the values 1 with a numerical value, 2 with its numerical value, and so on till 5. Okay, so this is what we wanted to achieve, but you can see that we have 11 lines of code in order to achieve this particular program. So let's see if we can reduce the number of lines of code and make it more readable and easy to understand using a simple dictionary comprehension. So to implement the dictionary comprehension, we will start with the for loop, just like we do it in a list comprehension, and this should be now inside this curly brackets. Okay, so if you remember from the list comprehension video, we used to put the for loop within the square brackets, but in case of dictionary comprehension, we will put it inside the curly brackets. So this is one of the major difference between the dictionary comprehension as well as the list comprehension. So once we have copied the for loop into the dictionary comprehension curly brackets, the next step would be to assign the value to our dictionary, or to save the value one by one to our dictionary. So how do we do that? The syntax would be key space value for item in list 1. So the key and the value is not known yet, so we have to fill these with the actual variable names or the values, whatever we want to save, so that the dictionary is properly created. So if you remember, the dictionary is basically a combination of key and value, and that is what we have to provide here inside our for loop. So let's try to do something here, and instead of key, what we did earlier was we do a dictionary item. So the item is basically our key. Okay, so what exactly is the item? Item is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, right? Because we are iterating through the list 1 here. Okay, so I think that's clear to you. And what should be the value? The value that should be assigned to the dictionary. So if you see the output from our previous execution, you can see that the value should be the numerical 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So how do we get the numerical 1, 2, 3 and so on here? So that is obtained from our list 2. So we have to do something like this. So list 2 and counter, but we do not have the counter variable here, right? So instead of counter, we have to do something on the list 1, which is basically called as enumerate. So enumerate means we iterate through this list and we also get the index of each item in this list, and those index will be stored in a variable called, say we can call it as counter. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are enumerating while iterating through this list, and the enumerate function will also return us the counter, which is basically the index of items in this list. Okay, and this counter is used by us here in order to identify the elements from list 2. So this is exactly the same as what we have done here, but instead of using the counter and incrementing it by 1 here, we are using the enumerate function so that we get the value of the counter automatically, because we have to do everything in a single line, so we cannot write the counter is equal to counter plus 1, which usually goes to the next line, right? So I think this is pretty much clear. And if I try to print our updated dictionary here, just like we did earlier, and I want to comment all of this except the initial empty dict underscore item dictionary creation, then we will see something in our console output. So let's see what happens. So yeah, so you can see that there is an empty value, which is basically because we are not assigning this whole dictionary comprehension value to a variable. So instead of doing this, we should actually copy this and paste it here and assign the value to this variable here. And we can also comment this one out because we do not need to initialize the variable here. Okay, so I will execute this program once again, and now you can see that the output is getting printed to the console, and this is exactly what we wanted to have. So you can see that this is done in a single line and we do not have to do all these lines of code. So this is really simple, and it also saves you a lot of space and a lot of lines of code. And this is one of the advanced techniques of creating dictionary in Python. So if you understand this concept really well, and if you understand how to do this in a program, then this is really a good thing for you. And even in interviews, they ask a lot about dictionary comprehension as well as list comprehension. So I would say practice it a couple of times at home on your computer and create different types of dictionary comprehensions, and get back to me if you have any question or if you face any problem while doing it. So let's also see if you can perform some conditionals within this dictionary comprehension. So if you remember from our list comprehension, we added some if condition towards the end of the comprehension, and it was able to tell the for loop that perform the comprehension or the creation of the list only if the if condition is satisfied. So similarly, in the dictionary comprehension as well, we can perform a if conditional statement, and we can tell the for loop that proceed further only if the if condition is satisfied. So we will try to add some if condition here and see if we can manipulate the data that gets saved into this dictionary using dictionary comprehension. So for example, I just want to have a dictionary with only the first two items as its content, and I want to just ignore the remaining values. So what can I do? I have to say that if the counter is less than 3, okay, so counter is basically the index, the count for the items in list 1. So when the counter reaches 3, it should not do the save operation to the dictionary. So it will work only as long as the counter value is less than 3. So let's execute this program and see what output we see in the console. So now you can see that the counter, so you can see that there are 3 items getting printed. This is because the counter starts from 0. Okay, so the index starts from 0, and hence the counter also starts from 0. And our condition that if counter is less than 3, that means if the counter value is less than 3, then proceed further and save the value to the dictionary. So for each iteration, the counter starts from 0, and for the next iteration it's 1, and for the third iteration it's 2. So it prints the data for all the 3 iterations and saves it to the dictionary. And that's why you can see that there are 3 values getting saved to the dictionary, and the same is getting printed to our console. So we have seen an example where you can create a dictionary comprehension, and you can also perform an if condition within the comprehension, and everything in a single line. So you do not have to type all these stuff in different lines, but everything in a single line. And you can also make it a little more complex, and if you want to try it out, it's really good. If you do not want to try, then it's fine, but I wanted to show it to you that you can perform more operations on, say, the value. So this is the value which gets saved to this key, right? So I can also make sure that I want to, say, double this value before getting saved into the dictionary. So I just do a 2 multiplied by this value, and then it saves to the item in the dictionary. So if I print this now, you can see that the value which is saved into the dictionary is now 1 with value 2, and for 2 the value is 4, and for 3 it's 6. That means the values from above is multiplied by 2 and is getting saved to the dictionary, right? So you can perform a lot of operations like this within a single line, and everything gets saved to the dictionary. So this is the power of dictionary comprehension in Python. So let's jump into the next section of this video, which is basically the homework section. Okay, so really interesting homework for today. What you have to do is you have to create 2 different lists. One list with say the name of the months. So I will write it down for you. So list 1 is the name of months. Okay, so Jan, Feb, and so on. And the second list is basically the number of months. So 1, 2, so on till 12, right? So what you have to do is you have to create a dictionary using dictionary comprehension, and the dictionary should have something like say Jan 1, March 3, May 5, and so on. So you have to create a dictionary with the values like this, where it starts from January, and it skips the February and goes to March, and then it skips the next month, which is April, and saves the value of May, and so on. So this is basically you are skipping the months which are immediately after the current month. Okay, so you have to save the alternate months into the dictionary. So you can do this exactly using the same principle and the same concept that I have shown in this video, and basically you have to use some if conditions and do it just using the dictionary comprehension. So I think it's a really easy example and a homework for you. So if you face any problem writing this program in your computer, then just go ahead and write this in the comment section of this video. I will take a look into this and help you out. So if you enjoyed this video so far, do not forget to click the like button and share it with your friends. If you are a new visitor to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also press the bell icon so that you get notified once I upload my next video on Python tutorial for beginners. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for your time. Take care. Bye.